Newsflash from the test kitchen. My colleagues are so particular, we will argue about breadcrumbs. Yes, breadcrumbs. In fact, we tasted 6 different brands along with fresh breadcrumbs. And the reason why it matters is because depending on the application, you're going to want a different crumb. Now let me start down here with fresh breadcrumbs. So this is our top rated sandwich bread by Arnold. You're going to need a food processor, which I'm not that wild about. You don't need to remove the crusts. Grind it, maybe 10 pulses. You're going to get a sort of irregular, fairly coarse, these are very soft, obviously, crumbs. Now, there are 3 ways that we typically use breadcrumbs. The first is as a panade, inside meatballs or meatloaf. And what the breadcrumbs are doing is they're absorbing the liquid from the milk, creating a gel. That not only creates sort of structure so that the meatball stays together, but it helps the meat retain moisture. And so even though that meatloaf or meatball is cooked until it's well done, it's still tender and juicy. That's the magic of breadcrumbs. These are wonderful as a panade. They're not as good when it comes to a breading around a cutlet because they're so coarse you get irregular coating and you get splotchy. And my colleagues don't want to see any chicken poking through. They want all crust on the outside. They do work well in the third application, which is on top of a casserole or maybe some macaroni and cheese. Toast these crumbs in a skillet with some butter, sprinkle them over the casserole, and they're more what I would call crisp crumbs rather than crunchy. Next up, plain breadcrumbs. And plain is really important. No stale herbs here. Now, we tested 2 brands, Progresso and 4C. They were both fine. The Progresso is a slight favorite. You're going to notice here they're very fine, very sandy, in fact. They make a nice coating, breading, because they're very even, so you get nice browning. They don't make a great topping on a casserole or macaroni and cheese. They're just too gritty and sandy, and they're not a very pleasant texture. And they don't absorb liquid well in a panade. They've got oil in them, and so they just don't do as good a job as the fresh breadcrumbs when it comes to meatloaf or meatballs. Last, but definitely not least, because of course I do have a favorite, and it is the panko. What I love about them is they've got a nice, large sort of crumb on these. We tested a variety of brands. Kikkoman is our favorite because the crumb is kind of a medium size. Some brands were actually kind of too crunchy and too large, and some were too fine. Panko's got a really interesting sort of backstory in how they make it. It's crustless bread, and rather than using radiant heat and baking it, they put the raw dough on a metal plate and then use electrical currents to bake the loaf, and you don't have a crust. The loaves are then dried and shredded. This makes, I think, the best breading for a cutlet because it's really crispy. It's my favorite on top of a casserole. Same reason, it's super crunchy rather than crispy like the fresh crumbs. It's okay as a panade. Little pro tip, these crumbs, put them inside a Ziploc bag and then whack them with a rolling pin and they'll get a little finer and they'll work better as a panade. Panko will keep for a very long time in the pantry, which makes it super convenient and always on hand. And if you want it to last forever, just keep it in the freezer. So there you have it. There's a reason to be particular about your breadcrumbs.
For full episodes of your favorite cooking shows, head over to ATK's Full Episodes channel on YouTube. You can stream complete seasons of America's Test Kitchen, Cook's Country, and more. See you there.